Namaste all. This is book reading session from Silence Speaks. We are reading from page number 485. Vedas, vibration, sound and symbol. This is the article we are going to start reading today. Whatever has come down or descended got expanded. Whatever was seen or felt, the condition become like that of a vessel full of water, which when it spills over, goes on increasing in area. And then there were our rishis to catch this overflow, and their attention was also towards it, since it was the beginning of the time. No samskaras were found in them till then. The thing came into their awareness exactly as it flashed. Of course, it did not happen that somebody's attention turned towards that solid thing, which had assumed a greater volume, and another's view fell over that, which was like a current in which there was less overflow. What can that solid thing be? Those things which were essential for the needs of everybody. Hence, they went into them and left the subtle things for the subtler seers. Let me take a pause. Let me continue. Of course, the needs are there of fire, water, and air. They have to work from time to time according to their speed. The seers took up these things and created such a turn in their inner condition that they gave a moment to them from the very place where there was the effect of the thick current. Hence, Agni, Vayu, etc. were given the impulse from that very place with which they were connected, and where there was the required effect of that thick current. In my humble opinion, that view at first reached the elements in which there was the power of spirit. Oh, sorry, let me repeat it again. In my humble opinion, that view at first reached the elements in which there was the power of the spirit. So to understand, actually, whatever has descended that got expanded, and it was caught in a vessel and it was overflowing, and our rishis were trying to catch this flow. Because there were no sanskaras found at this time, the thing that came to their their awareness was exactly as it flashed. That means what it came down, that they got it as is. And it did happen that somebody attention towards that solid thing which had assumed a greater volume, and another's view fell over that was that which was like a current in which there was less overflow. That means Master is trying to say that somehow some were looking into that which has got overflown, and some are looking into that which got overflown and frozen. Is that
some people who are looking at the subtlest thing of God itself.
Okay.
Some people were looking at the grosser things which have come out from that show, actually.
Okay.
And they understood what is fire, what is earth, what is water, and their place in the nature of things. They understood that. And some people trace the origin itself, and they could understand that. But when they came out from the origin, they had sensations, direct perception of sensation without the medium of concept. Concept comes in only because of memory or samskara. Somebody tells me that this is a computer screen, then there is a concept. But somebody tells me this is a radio, that is a concept. Concept comes if there is a samskara. So before concept formation also, there is an input to the mind through the sense organs without concept formation. So if there is no concept, there is no samskara. So they were able to feel the reality without any corruption or without any cognitive or conceptual filter was not there in those people. So those rishis found out so many things which are useful for materialistic life or useful for spiritual life. That is the idea. So actually, when we are also meditating, we move into a state of mind where the influence of samskaras are gone. If you do the cleaning process and ego is gone, sanskara formation stops. So that yogi's mind will have a view about reality as it is in itself without any impurities getting added to those perceptions actually.
Okay. Let me get this. Therefore, you may observe that only such mantras were written in the beginning, with which we may get those results which are essential to maintain and keep our life, which is also an essential thing. After a long lapse of time, after being occupied with the elements, it was felt that the thought had remained fixed upon it after continuously dwelling on it. Further, they again started to ponder over that original current, which would be called spirituality. The result of this is the Upanishads, and this is the result of their right thinking. Now, will you not conclude from this that the form of evolution has been maintained in this, and this became the history of intellectual exertion?
The above is just an introduction and expression of an unlearned one and the result of his mental ruminations, the sediment of his ripened thought. Now I come to the main issue. So the earlier, whatever he has said that it is a result of his pondering and ruminating about the nature of reality, whatever. He says now he is coming to the main issue. Veda is really that condition which was before the time of the creation of the universe. May God give you the bliss of that condition. You too shall have it. Therefore, it is quite true that the Vedas came in to the existence at the time of the creation of the universe. They have been shaped into the form of books. It is as if the conditions have been given a dress. What was existing then? The same churning condition and the creation of the atom. The thing which constituted the atom was the result of the activities of the churning. In other words, this is connected with that thing which is the result of this churning. Now, whatever might be the result, and it took many other forms, their mental standing did remain in their origin source. And whatever that condition was, it should be definitely called as scientific, because it never happened that the combination of oxygen and hydrogen would not produce water. I call that thing alone scientific, which always produces the same result, whoever experiments with it. Now, whatever might have been the result, when the view fell over its originality, it brought out the knowledge of its origin. Now the Vedic rishis, taking the dim sound created by the churning of these currents as the basis, remained in search of that whose sound this was. Therefore, in the Rig Veda, whatever I have heard being read from some of its beginning portions, this very sound or Shabda is utilized. In other words, this was the key to reveal the real thing. Now, when they have found the key and the real thing began to get revealed, the whole thing took another turn. We'll slowly stop it here.
What does team means here?
Thing is the Kshob only. Your mind is there now. Mind का origin होगा ना? वो original nature of the mind को thing बोल के address कर रहा हूँ. Or the Kshob which has created the whole these multiple galaxies. You know, you have millions of trillions of galaxies, trillions of major galaxies, minor galaxies, millions of stars, millions of human. We do not know whether there's any life in so many other planets in these various galaxies. All these things originated from Kshob, and your mind is connected with that origin or Kshob. And behind the Kshob is the Tam, or the silent condition of the origin or the absolute. So when you use the word that, it denotes to that absolute condition, which is the cause for the birth of this entire universe, having trillions and trillions of galaxies, in which you are a very minute part actually.
When we say show, like, or steer, was the steer in the silent mind?
No, mind comes after the mind comes as a result of the stir.
Okay.
Before that, mind is not there. It is some force. Our mind is incapable of thinking about that force because it is a subsequent creation, you know. But we can feel that origin. We can know about that origin if you concentrate and dwell on that. That's what yogis do. They meditate and they dwell on that reality, and that reality reveals itself to that mind. But it cannot think and know about it, because mind came after the stir. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. That is a new chapter opened up for the spiritual purpose, and the flight of the thought began to get still more intensified. When they got the inkling of the reality through the Shabda, the rishis resolved to dive still deeper into it. And when they dived into it and caught hold of that part of the thread, link, the first lesson which they understood was the emotion of Ekoham Bahusyam, the one becoming many. But this was the worldliness of the real thing, that is the lower thought. Now the thought jumped still further and they caught the upper thread. They became aware that this was the resounding created due to the motions of the current, and that there is something even beyond this. The search still continued and went above this thought of Ekoham Bahusyam. And such kind of worldliness was left out now. In other words, the gross form of that real thing, which was before our view in the beginning, became hidden, and our jump commenced beyond it. That means even in our meditation, a stage comes in the spiritual stages where a person goes into the universal consciousness. And when the universal consciousness develops, the sense organs, they have no work to do, because in the universal consciousness, man grows out of the confines of Nama and Rupa. He transcends awareness of his physical body. He transcends awareness of time. So his subjectivity gets enlarged, and then it starts percolating into the objects. So the object gets incorporated into the subject itself. So it all becomes a huge subject. So there is no object there. So then there is no role for the sense organs and the mind to function in the routine way in which an individual consciousness functions. And then the world, you transcended the world which you experience within your limitations. That limitation is crossed, and then they move to further exploration of the nature of reality. That's what he means here. Then what happened? The idea of reality, which contained the suspicion as to what extent it can be, also began to bubble up, weighed the self, and deeply pondered over it. By pondering deeply, they got the thought that it was only due to the human nature that we have been weighing ourselves. Pondering deeply means it's a kind of meditation. You think deeply, and weighing ourselves means we have created a mental world, and we have created a network which causes heat and burning and suffering within ourselves. Suffering is created by our own mind, actually. When we understood this completely, our nature and thought got attached with that real thing which is embedded in us. So at that time, you can say that faith is matured. When you feel that God is very real, it's no more a imagination, it's a direct experience. It was as if the thought began to swim in that current. They went on further and got an inkling that all this, which was the result of churning, is cream, but not the reality. Now the steps went on further. This is the approach of the middle part, which has been described above. Progressing still further, the fragrance of bliss began to be felt. Now a question may arise as to how it was felt when the thought had become one with it. The only answer is that the same cream was a solid state of the very particles which we have grasped in our thought. The state of bliss did come. We also stayed there, and we felt it too, and concluded that this is the very thing which was being sought for. Some people remained there, and the remaining went further than this condition of such chit ananda, and proceeding on, such a state engulfed them that they got stuck up in non-duality. Vedas are mostly silent beyond this, because they have described it as indescribable, anirvichaniya, and declared it neti neti, not this, not this. Now the same question of science comes once again. I think I have given the reply to some extent. But if you want still more, we should say that we are on the path, and we have made ourselves such that we are in conformity with the reality. Then it can be definitely said that reality alone is in our view. Nay, we ourselves have become such. We have become the abode of the real knowledge. Nay, now we ourselves have become the knowledge. The remark of Mr. X that they are truer than the mathematical symbols can be correct when we get dissolved in it. And the very thing comes before the you, which is right. Whoever goes on the path, the same thing comes before him. Now you may think that there are poetical points in it, where there is the possibility of exaggeration also. Yes, dear brother, it helps the thought to pick up by constructing its surroundings in order to show the real thing. I am also often obliged to take work from it. For example, I shall write a couplet. The lover is weak and the beloved is very delicate. Let somebody raise the wheel. Now, if you ponder over the meaning of this, it will be proved that the lover and beloved are both inactive, which is the real condition. That is, that condition which is the reality is expressed thus. Our theory is that Man was perfect when he was first born. Hence, it is evident that these knots have been formed by men alone, which are a hindrance for the view to be taken to the source. His activity has formed a world within himself. The reason is that the workman had sent us pure and crystal clear, and it is the mark of the best workman. The responsibility for the dirt and dust which has come over is upon us alone. We have ourselves formed samskaras, impressions, which have become coverings upon coverings and succeeded in covering us up like the silkworm in the cocoon. Having come out of the ocean of reality, we were reality alone from top to toe. Now, because our primary condition was like that, our vision could straightaway see that without any obstruction, and it had the knowledge of that, the form of which can be considered as the Vedas. The language of Sanskrit is said to be more natural. The reason is that it was the beginning. And in order to converse and to understand mutually, they moved the tongue in accordance with what they felt. If you deeply ponder over the alphabet of Sanskrit, you shall find the rise and fall in it in the form of natural vibration. And in that language, they have written by feeling every vibration. And they started to call it Sanskrit, divine. Revelation has come to them in no particular language. Divine revelations come even now, but mostly and correctly to those who have regained their original condition and have got the connection with the original source. And it always comes in the language which one knows. It strikes the mind and it becomes aware, feels through the words which he has learned. Swami Vivekananda ji has written that the revelations mostly occur mostly in poetry. It does not happen so, at least in the case of a real seeker who should not lose the reality by getting entangled in the surroundings. Surroundings point to the thing which is connected with it, just like the smoke points out the fire of which it is the smoke. So we'll stop here. If you have time, we will just try to ponder over this article. It's a kind of highest philosophy coming out from a person who has practically felt all those conditions. It is no more imagination from them. It is not Vikalpa. It is direct experience of Babuji Maharaj is written. So let us ponder and try to benefit from his understanding of reality. Anything else? Ravi, inkemanunda?
No, sir. Nothing.
ఇది మనం మళ్ళీ మెడిటేట్ చేయాలి. ఒక్కొక్క సెంటెన్స్ మీద మెడిటేట్ చేస్తే our mind in the process gets purified, in the process that insight develops. If you try to ponder over the words which is written, that pondering actually purifies your mind, and purified mind lo a intuition laga insight unfolds from inside. That is how we have to learn in spirituality. It's a correct effort is required for that.
Dr. Madhav, I want to share one sentence, right? Like Babuji Maharaj has written here. Veda is really that condition which was before the time of the creation of the universe.
Yes.
So in Imperience beckons, Amma has written a very profound statement, Santa Garu. She has written that the commandments came to the master in his superfine state of super consciousness, and is equal to Veda.
That's right. Yes.
Mhm.
That is.
So immediately when I read this, I understand like why she has mentioned in that manner. So
Babuji has written that all commentary of commandment to read is autobiography, earlier autobiography.
sorry, your voice is breaking, sir.
Second part. All this commentary of this all the commentary of these 10 commandments came to him in the language of Urdu actually, and then he written down in Urdu, and it came in 3 sessions. In 3 sessions, he wrote the entire book.
Okay.
So it is a revelation which has come to him. So he's got that revelation, and because he knew Persian and Urdu, he was able to express it in that language. But he makes a mention in the initial book. He says, try to get above the language and try to catch the spirit of what the author is trying to convey, because these things are very difficult to convey in language. They come in the form of vibrations, he writes.
Yes.
So that's the Shruti actually. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So we should also try to purify our mind by sincerely, faithfully practicing what he has told, and try to develop that capacity in us. It is a science. We have to work hard for that. So you have to give up so many of your attachments, which are nothing but impurities.
He makes the reference of Vivekananda saying he got revelations in poetry, and that should that is not right, is what he says, right? I didn't get.
Let me go to. He disagrees with him.
Yeah.
So that's we are nobody to comment about those things anyway. So Vivekananda has written that revelations occur mostly in poetry. It does not happen. So at least in the case of that's what Babuji feels. I mean, we'll not enter into it. It's a that is his Babuji's
Opinion.
experience. So Vivekananda's experience is different. God can be felt in several ways, no?
Right.
So because we are aware of Babuji and this thing, we tend to be partial, and we accept that Babuji is more truer than anybody else in this world. So that is our perception. So next we'll read next because this is important. We'll allow ourselves some time to these words to sink in us. So we'll meet next Sunday then.